guys, what's going on? Kurt Capper here with another US dollar update. It's been a little while since I've provided you with a video updating what's gone on here with the dollar, so I figured this would be a great time to do that following the NFP report that we had come out earlier this morning, where it did beat expectations, came in at around 222,000 as opposed to the 178K expected. So that set things on an upward trajectory. We had a little bit of a gap up this morning here, as you can see on the chart of the dollar that I have up. And, you know, while we are getting the strength here today in terms of the gap up, it really hasn't changed the overall sentiment that I've been expressing here over the last several weeks, and that is that the dollar will continue moving lower. So if you've been following along, you know, I sent out a couple videos talking about the action here, the failed breakdown, and what that resulted in, and why it really didn't matter to the longer term direction. So if you want, I mean, I'll link up those videos for you, but you can also just go and take a look and see what I had been talking about at that time, and why it really didn't matter that the fact we failed on this breakdown wasn't going to change the long-term direction. It certainly had a short-term impact on sentiment, but as you can see, we rallied up, hit some resistance levels, and rolled right back over. And so here we are now. We're still weak. We're below all these moving averages, the 8, the 21-day, the 50-day, 200, etc. So all of this is weighing heavily on things. And again, I've been talking about the 2450 level being kind of a longer-term projected level for this to come down to. And then I think if we reach this level, you'll start to see a more significant attempt to hold, and I'll show you why that is in a minute. But again, looking at today's action, yes, we're getting a gap up, but it's not getting any additional follow through. It's right up into this gap fill from earlier in the week, and so all in all, things continue looking lower. Now, as we flip over to the weekly, you start to get a little longer term sense of what's been going on here. And here was the initial breakdown. This is when I first started talking about the dollar and the fact that it was going to be headed down towards the 2450 level. So, you know, again, going back to May, when we first started this discussion and tracking it throughout the process here. Again, here you had the attempts to move higher that failed, and now here we are getting an inside day or an inside week, as it is Friday and we're going to be closing things out here. So this sets up for the next leg lower right into that 2450 level, which does, as you can see, align with the 200-day, which again we've discussed. So that's why I think this is a magnet, if you will, for where the dollar is going to come down to. And then you can also see off to the left the longer term support levels that we have. I think that's where we see a more significant pause. I'm not even going to go so far as to say correction, but I think that's where we see a pause before then possibly continuing down even lower. So that's something we'll have to pay attention to. But, you know, at this point, the trend is down. We are coming into that support. For that reason, I think we pause, and then we see if the trend is heavy enough, if there's enough supply to continue driving us down. If we look at the monthly chart, just to gain a little more perspective here, you can see that this is a deep retracement that we've got going on here so far, but it is still within the context of an uptrend. So that's why if we pull into this 2450 level, we should see buyers stepping up. And you can also see that the 2450 level lines up with the 50 period moving average on the monthly chart. So it's for several reasons a very attractive level for traders to look for a price to come down to before they start looking to bid. So 2450, you've got the weekly 200, you've got the monthly 50-day, you've got long-term support. It's just a level that should attract demand, and that's why, as I said, look for it to come down there first before buyers start stepping up trying to defend that area, and then we see what happens from there. So if we flip on back to the daily, depending on how we get here, maybe you get a tradable bounce or some kind of double bottom to set up that does offer a short-term long, but then we'll have to see how it plays out over the longer period of time. But, again, everything is still looking in line with what we were talking about, as I said, back in May when we first started this discussion. So look for this to continue moving lower into that 24.50 area, and then we'll see how things are behaving at that point. I'll provide you guys with another video. But again, hope you're enjoying this little video series, and as I said, I will make sure to bring you guys updates as necessary. But until then, have a great weekend. Hope you're doing great with your trading. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at Kurt@T3Live.com or email in to info@T3Live.com, and we can get your questions taken care of. All right? So until then, as I said, have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.